so today we're talking about a really interesting topic. Have you ever, as a leader or a department leader, a leader of an organization, a business, whatever, and even, quite frankly, parents, I believe this happens to you too, have you ever decided you wanted to go on vacation, or you have gone on vacation and you come back only to find that nothing got done? You're upset, you're going, what the hell did everybody do? And it just frustrated you to no end. Or this is going on in your head. Maybe this is the first time you're growing a department, an organization, whatever, and you're looking at going on vacation. Why? Because it's summertime. We're all going on vacation, right? People take vacations. And so you may be looking at it going, I don't want that to happen again. Or maybe this is your first time that you're going to be going on vacation being a leader, and you're like, well, I hope I don't go on vacation. How do I overcome the quote unquote, when the cat's away, the mice will play? See, what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about a 5-step plan that the mice will actually participate in what needs to happen while the cat's away. Now, we have to kind of lay a foundation first and talk about a couple of things. Here's the thing about leadership that I think leaders need to hear. New leaders, seasoned leaders, veteran leaders. The reality of leadership is that it comes with a responsibility. See, it's like entrepreneurs. People want to be entrepreneurs, but yet they don't want the responsibility, all the responsibility that comes with growing and running a business, starting, taking it from a seed to fruition, or, taking it to the next level. They want all the value, they want the recognition, they want the rewards, but they don't want the grind. They don't want the grit, the struggle, the late nights. Same thing with leadership. Leadership comes with massive responsibility. See, here's the thing. I believe until you actually grow a organization that is based and foundational on leadership development and attracting and hiring subordinate quality leaders, you're never really on vacation. And I think the number one problem that many leaders experience with the whole, when the cat's away, the mice will play, is that the leader disappears and there's an absence of leadership. You see, here's what we know about leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. If you're following my personal page, I posted something this morning about everything rises and falls on leadership, whereby your people will determine the potential. Your vision determines the direction. Your work ethic will determine how fast you get there. And your leadership will determine the success. So if we understand that to be true, whereby your leadership will determine the success and everything rises and falls on leadership, well, if we're having a problem with quote unquote failures or lack of achievement or lack of activity, well, that's a leadership problem. And what I find with leaders all too often is they're willing to point the finger at the people because that's their initial assessment. It can't be them. They're perfect. Nothing's wrong with their leadership. It's their people. Something's wrong with my people, coach. Well, here's what I believe. 95% of all failure to achieve in an organization or a department or some sort of leadership, 95% of the responsibility falls on the leader. Why? One finger out, 3 fingers pointing back at you. So we're going to look at the 3 fingers pointing back at us today, whereby we can take responsibility for this, develop a 5-step plan that we can implement in our business, whereby we can increase our chances of that when the cat's away, the mice are still kicking some butt, right? Because that's what we all want, right? We want to go away on vacation. We want to enjoy some time off. We want to decompress. We want to re-energize, and we want to come back to our business and pick up virtually where it left off, or hopefully, I think the ideal intention is always to come back into your organization and it actually is further along than where you left it. So let's look at some 5 simple steps. So like most everything I do for you guys, I simplify it, and I've given you a relatively easy acronym here, OSEAR, O-S-E-A-R. And so what we're going to look at first is we need to develop the outcome. We need to identify and communicate the outcome that we ultimately want to achieve. You see, here's what I know about leadership. There's all these definitions: to inspire, to empower, to be the vehicle to someone's success, etc., etc. It's real simple. how we inspire, empower, whatever influence, it all comes from two things: our actions and our conversations. So we need to have a conversation with the people in our organization. Now, here's the thing. You cannot do this plan the day before, the couple of days before, the week before you're leaving on vacation. That's not adequate enough time to prepare this plan to execute. So here it is, guys. Look, in my market in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, yesterday was the last day of school. So you wake up today, it's summertime, right? I don't care what the seasons say and the date tells us. In everybody's mind, it's summertime. Some of you all, as we enter June, your kids are getting out of school here in the next couple weeks. It's summertime. You already know if you're going on vacation, or you already have a vacation plan for when the kids get out of school, or maybe it's in mid-July or August. So many of you already have adequate heads up as to when you're going on vacation. Once you learn this plan, you need to start communicating it immediately. Okay, communicate the date that you're gonna be leaving and this plan that hopefully you're going to implement. But the very first step of it is to identify and define the outcome. Look, when I go on vacation, I'm going away for 7 days, and when I come back, what I'm going to look for is this outcome. Whatever that outcome is, identify it. They need to know what you're expecting of them when you return. Because if you just go on vacation and come back and expect your people to do what you did not communicate, that's why you get frustrated. That's why the mice play. Okay? So we have to identify and communicate the outcome. The next thing we have to do is we need to develop strategies. Okay? We need to develop some strategies for a couple of things, right? It's the who, it's the what, and it's the when. These strategies are nothing more than the activities. What are the things that they're going to do in your absence? Who's going to step up? You see, we did a video about leadership succession, and I think one of the biggest issues that many leaders have is that they go on vacation and so does the leadership. Maybe it's because they're the only leader in the organization, hence the reason why you need a temporary leadership succession plan. We're going to post that video in the comment section. Highly recommend you go check it out. But at the end of the day, your people need to know what they need to do. They need to know who's going to do what, who's going to step up and be the leader in your absence. Now, some of you guys heard that and you go, wow, that's great. I wish I had that, but Chris, here's the problem. I don't have that. Well, here's what you need to understand. Leadership never goes on vacation. All right? I want to be very clear about that. I'm going to get right in the center here. I'm going to say it very passionately. Leadership never goes on vacation. So what does that mean? If you're the leader and you actually want to experience like 100% of vacation, I mean, you go away with your family, you go away with your friends, whatever, and you're completely disconnected and unplugged, you need subordinate leadership. You need to leave someone in charge. Well, Chris, I don't have that person yet. Well, guess what? You haven't earned the right for that 100% vacation. And I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like here in a minute. But just understand that if you go on vacation and you don't have subordinate leadership to take over and duplicate and replicate your leadership when you're there, then your leadership needs to be present in that organization while you're on vacation. Yeah, that message kind of sucks, but it's truth and it's reality. That's the responsibility of bringing on leadership into your world. Everybody wants it, few can only do it. All right. So when we look at strategies, activities, what are people doing? What do you expect of them? Who is going to take over? Who's doing what? And when? Like how frequently? So who, what? I'll put it over here. We'll do who. Those are the things, the simple things that you need to communicate in your strategic approach for the outcomes that you're going to expect of them. The next thing is expectations. You need to clearly define and communicate what your expectations are of your people, what they're going to do, when they're going to do it, when you come back, the outcome, Okay? These are expectations. People need to know what you expect of them. Here's what I tell people. Anytime you're dealing with any sort of negative emotion, frustration, anger, disappointment, being upset, whatever the negative emotion is, it's usually because something in your world, in your environment, did not meet your expectation. Most of the problem is you point the finger, leaders point the fingers at people that didn't meet their expectation. And remember, we forget about the 3 fingers pointing back at us that tell us as a leader, well, did you communicate those expectations? And if you say no, you can't be mad at your people. What you're mad at is yourself. Okay? So if we communicate the expectations, then we can start putting some more responsibility on our people and evaluate whether or not they are the people that can handle the level of responsibility in the organization that you're trying to build. Okay? Next one, number 4, is the dreaded word. Okay? I'm not even going to say it. I'm just going to write it and you're going to know exactly what it is. Actually, I'll say it. It's accountability. Okay? We need to implement elements of accountability. So again, some of you guys are like, accountability? Like, Chris, I'm going on vacation. Leaders never go on vacation, or excuse me, leadership never goes on vacation. If you don't have subordinate leadership to turn over elements of your leadership to be duplicated and replicated, that might be your first problem, which is hopefully why you're watching these videos and why you're going to watch my leadership succession video. But understand this. Accountability never disappears. Leadership never disappears. If you can't leave elements of your leadership behind and it's going with you, then guess what? The responsibility of leadership is that when you're on vacation, you need to take some time to have accountability. Now, depending on your people, depending on what you expect of them and the outcomes that you desire, and depending on how new they are to your organization, you may need daily accountability. Look, here's the reality. An accountability conversation with your organization should never take more than 30 minutes. 15 to 30 minutes. If you can't carve out 15 to 30 minutes a day, get up a little bit earlier while your family's sleeping in, grab your cup of coffee, go on your veranda deck and have a conversation. Now, some of you guys are saying, well, Chris, what if I go out of the country, or what if I'm on a cruise and I don't have internet access? Look, there's internet access in freaking space. Okay? Quit making excuses. You can have internet access. At minimum, they need to have daily accountability. Create a Google spreadsheet, have them email it to you, and you can check your email once a day. Most of you all are crackheads with your smartphones, and you're checking your email 15 times a day anyway, that I promise you when you go on vacation, you're going to crave that email so bad. Why? Because it's a habit, and habits have cravings. So we just have to be real with each other, and that's what this video is about, is being real, because, hey, we're leaders. We have to be real with ourselves and each other, and we're running organizations, and this is important stuff. At least to me it is. Hopefully it is to you. And then the last one is ramifications. Forgive the sloppy writing, but ramifications. We need to communicate 2 elements of ramifications. The rewards and the not so reward, okay? What happens if? What happens if they meet your expectations, they implement your strategies as you've expected them to, and they met their outcomes? What's going to happen? Give them a reward. Look, if you understand habits, the reason why people do what they do really is because there's some element of a reward of pleasure. People aren't just going to do because you want them to do. Yes, yesterday we did a video on the word authority and being the author, and people will do what they author for their life. That's one major element of it. But I promise you, if you're away and the cats have a choice to go play or do what they're supposed to do, if there's no reward, you're decreasing your chances of them actually taking action on it, unless it's something they really want to do and they're disciplined people. But for the average person, a reward will speak volumes for their decision-making process. Give them a reward. Tell them, look, guys, if you do all this and you meet these outcomes through these strategies, and I come back and you've met my expectations, then as a team, you're going to be rewarded with whatever. Create the reward or let them define it. But we also need to understand the what happens if not. And leaders, I think this is your biggest challenge, is holding people accountable or holding yourself accountable to the decisions that you know you need to make about people that may be tough conversations. And what is that? That's demotions, firing, moving them back into free agency, whatever the case may be. You see, most leaders will come back and be like, oh, I want to fire my people. I have all the wrong people. No, you don't have right leadership strategies. If you didn't implement elements similar to this or some sort of plan, you can't hold your people accountable to that. That's the 3 fingers pointing back at you. That's the 95% responsibility of leadership. But I believe if you implement these 5 simple steps of defining and communicating your outcomes, implementing strategies of who, what, and when, clearly communicating your expectations of them, implementing some elements of accountability, whether it's every single day or once or twice a week, whatever, and then identifying and communicating and everybody buying into. The key here is everybody buying into it. Once you identify what the ramifications are and you communicate it, you have to get buy-in from your people, because once you get buy-in, and this is all understood and agreed upon, and they don't do it. I'm not talking about maybe if they don't. Look, there's a difference between when people implement strategies and don't hit outcomes. That's a different what happens if not. But if they don't do the actual strategies, they just if they chose freedom of action over freedom or action of righteousness, then you now know you might be dealing with someone who's not a match for your organization. And then that's when you as a leader need to make a quick, swift decision to remove that person out of your organization. Failure to do so is nothing more than you owning your own pain. And no coach, no consultant, no educator or trainer can do anything for you other than help you realize that leadership's about making tough decisions as well. So leaders, here's what I want to wrap up with. Here's a question for you. As the summertime starts to roll in, and you've got your eyes on vacation, enjoying the summer, days out boating with your family, basically rewarding yourself for working hard and grinding it out through the winter time, what are you going to do as a leader? What's going to be your plan? Can you implement these things? If you don't have subordinate leadership and you need to understand a plan of how to leave some elements behind and what elements of leadership you need to take with you, reach out to me. I'll be glad to offer you a free, no obligation consultation of how to identify what's what so that you can actually enjoy your vacation, come back more empowered, your people are still operating, and your organization is still moving forward. Because at the end of the day, here's what we want. We want to be able to have an organization that's valuable. It's a business that we're proud to own, we want to own, and we want to go to work every day. And we also want to go on vacation where we have some freedom of mind, knowing that my organization's not going to fall behind or fall apart for that matter while I'm gone. That ideally when I leave, that the organization is still doing what it's supposed to be doing. And when I come back, we either pick up where we left off or I have to catch up because my organization has gone so far ahead of me. I think that's the ideal intent that every leader wants for their organization, business, or even their family. And I believe these 5 steps can help you do that. Leaders, what can I help you with? Put your questions, your comments, your ahas in the comment section. If you're watching this live on Facebook and you like what we had to share with you, give us some thumbs up, hearts, smiley faces, whatever. If you're on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, like the video. And guys, here's the thing. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, turn on the live notifications, but more so than that, share this video with a leader that you know will get value out of this content, because we're here to change the world one mind at a time. And if we're changing yours, pay it forward, add massive value into the world. And remember one thing, God loves you, so do I. Thank you for joining me today. Lead strong. Have a blessed rest of your day.